Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this Friday afternoon. I'm sure you're all exhausted after what will probably have been an incredibly busy week back at work. So thank you for making the time to join me this afternoon. Just going to take a few moments just to let everyone get settled. Do by all means let me know who you are, where you're teaching within the comments. And of course, most importantly, that you can hear me okay. Because I don't want to be just talking at the screen. So that's it. Do in the comments, let me know that you can hear, let me know that you're there and where you're watching from. And to this afternoon, we're going to have a sort of a whirlwind whistle-stop tour end-to-end of Seneca, from setting up accounts, creating classes, finding content, assigning content to your pupils, and then looking at it from a pupil perspective. I'm not going to make any assumptions this afternoon as to what your use case is or what your experience is, whether you're a free Seneca user or a premium school. So do at any point ask me any questions within the comments. If it's part of the natural flow, don't worry if I haven't mentioned it specifically, because it may be something that I'll come to. But if I feel that it's a particularly vital piece of information or question, I'll drag it up onto the screen and share it with everyone. We can dive into the details of that particular question. So good question coming straight in. The webinar is being recorded, so if you click like on the video, you can come back to it at any stage. So let us get started. What you'll see on my screen is where you would navigate to. I've simply put Seneca Learning into our favorite search engine and clicked through, and now I'm registered, so it's given me this landing page. But alternatively, it might be that it's just showing you free Seneca for parents, Seneca for free for students and for teachers. And it's as simple as that. Go straight in and it will prompt you either to create an account with an email address and password. But I would recommend, particularly if you're coming at it from a school perspective, the key element is those two buttons there, the single sign-on option. So your Google password or your Microsoft account. So if you're a Google Classroom school, you would direct your pupils to log in with their school email address through that Google button, or indeed, if you're Microsoft Teams, you might you would want to go through the Continue with Microsoft. And it's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what logging in looks like as I go through with my Gmail account. So the authenticator won't show up on the screen the way I'm sharing it, but I've now entered my Seneca class structure here. Now you can see I've got a number of classes at play. I'm quite lucky. I don't have many pupils across my classes, but I do teach a range of interesting topics. So it might be that you are coming back from last academic year where you were using Seneca to support revision or end of year boosters, and you've got some classes here that are no longer relevant. As you can see here, I'm looking a little bit cluttered, so I'm just going to quickly talk to you about a new feature which we put into place over the summer, and that's where you can archive classes. So I'm interested in getting rid of these two classes, my Thursday demo and my Spanish GCSE, no longer relevant, but it might be that actually those pupils do form part of a future cohort. So I don't want to get rid of them totally. I'm not going to delete them. So I'm going to archive those two classes. So I'm clearing up my workspace here. And if I follow this drop-down option on the left-hand side, I can go back and I can go to any one of these archive classes. So I'm going to go to the Spanish, and I can unarchive that class at any point. And that brings all the information forwards and backwards without it being deleted within our databases. So I am here with my active classes, but I'm going to show you what it looks like to create a class from scratch. And it's as simple as clicking on this addition button here, and I'm going to name this Friday Demo Class. Really imaginative, isn't it? But you know what, my imagination is running dry at the end of the week. So in front of us, we have a really clear means of identifying that workflow for you as a class teacher to get from a login standing right through to being able to share course material and coursework with your pupils, inviting students and colleagues into your account. So I've got a tick up at the top. I've created a class. I now need to add course material. So a couple of ways I can do that. I've got course button here, or I've got these tiles, focus tiles below, so I can drop into courses. Alternatively, using this slider down on the left-hand side, I can go into courses and I will add courses. So you might initially feel a bit overwhelmed because there is so much content within our library, but we give you two direct means of getting to that. Now, you can come through an open search, so it might be you're looking for a particular topic, or you're thinking, well, actually, I'm a curriculum lead, a department head for science, so I'm going to come in. I'm going to look at my GCSE cohort. I'm going to look for biology and chemistry, and I know that my exam board is AQA. And so there we go. I've now got a more refined list of content from the Seneca library. So we've got things like equations you need to know for chemistry. I've got a higher GCSE higher section there, and I'm going to take the foundation as well. Likewise for biology. There we go. So I'm going to grab those and some diagnostic misconceptions. So I've got 6 identified pieces of core material here. And one of the questions that you may have is sort of, okay, where do you get your content from, Seneca? You tell me that it's AQA. Well, we work with curriculum leads, curriculum specialists, and they are typically aligned with each of those leading examination bodies. So we can guarantee to you as teachers and to your staff and to pupils and the parent community that the work that they will be following through here is directly aligned to the most relevant core material that you would be looking to assign or pass your pupil through for examinations, hopefully this coming summer. So it is going to be directly relevant to the curriculum requirements within your school. So I've chosen those 6 units across biology and chemistry, and I'm going to add them to my class. And now I can look to actually sort of dissect those units and share them as content. So for homework, as you'll see, we've created a brand new class. I've got no upcoming assignments yet, so I need to create an assignment. And in this instance, I'm actually just going to take this foundation course. You'll see it slides through. So now I have the entirety of the chemistry AQA foundation course in front of me here. So you'll see if I scroll through, I've got 10 individual units, and you can open these up. You can assess each unit individually. And you'll notice that each one of these sub-chapters has a checkbox next to it. And this is where we will then start allocating those particular chapters out as homework. So I'm going to take atoms and elements. And we can see here, it's a rather long chapter, this one. So I'm not going to give it all. I'm just going to choose a few of these. And you'll notice as I'm selecting or deselecting up at the top here, it gives you an estimation as to how long that piece of work would take your pupils, depending on their ability. So you'll see there's a margin of difference there between 18 and 30 minutes. I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. There we go, 15 to 25 minutes of homework. So I've actually just taken the first 5 chapters of atomic structure. So, okay, we've drawn that AQA course into our class. We've looked at, okay, that seems like a manageable session of weekly homework, but how do we know what does it look like? So you'll have noticed that each of these chapters is hyperlinked. If I click on mixtures as an example, this then opens up what your pupils would be seeing, or at least the entire content flow for that subsection. Now, they would see it in bite-sized morsels and a flow. What you can see here is you can scroll through the whole lot, so you can get a sense for what is the content that is being demonstrated or introduced to your pupils. So we can see here we have a carousel of knowledge, which they would rotate through. We then have a range of question styles. So we have here missing words. Here we've given the definition, what is the vocabulary, the scientific vocabulary that they are looking to understand. We have a multiple choice, true and false. So again, we've got sliders here, which direct the pupil to make an understanding on the scientific knowledge. So I'm coming through and I've got illustrations here, more multiple choice. So there's a range of question styles and interactions. For example, this one requires some sliding, dragging and dropping answers. So it makes for an engaging approach to answering rather than just a sort of more staid, sort of old-fashioned, I'm just going to write my answers or circle boxes. So I'm happy that is a relevant unit of work for my pupils. So I'm going to close that off. So I've got these 5. It's going to take about 25 minutes maximum. So I'm going to assign that. I'm going to call this week 1. And you'll notice here that the start date is always today's date when you're in the system, and the due date is always 1 week hence. So the only thing I would say regarding that is just be aware. I would often find myself getting to the weekend and thinking, right, I've got to have an eye to next Friday's email submission. Email submission, homework submission to the pupils. So I would possibly be doing it at the weekend. So just be sure you can always move this date forwards. Never go backwards. I mean, there's no point in assigning homework in the past. And then if I was changing that to Monday, I would just need to check my deadline and think, right, okay, so I'm setting it on Monday. So I'm going to change the deadline for the following Monday. So I've created my homework, and it's really, really easy to get it to your pupils. I mean, it couldn't be easier. So you can copy the link and share it in a means that works for you. But the easiest options are, if you are a Google Classroom school, just click on that green button, and that will push that homework straight into your Google Classroom environment and straight into that relevant class. Likewise, if you're a Microsoft Teams school, click on that purple button, and that again will distribute via Teams. Alternatively, you can open up your email provider, and that link would automatically be included. Just add the pupils that are required and message it out. So indeed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to pop that in our comments for today's session. So if I just pop that in there and share that with you all, you can then add yourselves to this virtual classroom, this demonstration classroom, and then get a sense of what does that flow of answering those questions look like as a learner. Now, some of you, I don't know whether you'd be like me and maybe sort of groaning a bit, oh, I don't want to look at the chemistry, but take a little look. It's indicative of that workflow that we ask pupils to go through. So I've closed that down, and what have I got in front of me here now? This is my assignment homepage, or sort of hub, as it were. We've got no one yet has clicked on that link. We've not shared it directly with any live pupils, so no information is coming through. But as that information, the results start to trickle through, you'd see, okay, the number of pupils who completed work, how many, once we hit that due date, how many are late, and how many might be incomplete. So how many of these sessions or these sub-chapters not been completed as part of the homework. And here, of course, at top level, we've got a score, an average score for the class. And below here, and I'll show you with some dummy data in a moment, you would see a student by student response and score option. So let's go straight in and have a look at what that looks like. So just jumped across to another login that has some data. You'll recognize these tiles from before. Just going to click on my assignments, and you'll see this is a slightly busier teacher here. We've got a lot more work being distributed and sent out. I'm just going to click on the past. That's running in rather slow. There we go. Sorry, just where I'm showing my screen this afternoon, it gets a little glitchy. So you'll see here I've jumped into a biology piece of homework. We can see that I've got 31 are completed, none are late, and none are incomplete. If I open this up, I can see, goodness me, that was an unfair piece of homework. So 14 units were assigned. I think everybody was struggling with that because you can see the overall scores, and we traffic like that as well, so it's incredibly visual for you. So when you're sat there either looking at your own class or across the department, you can really easily identify exactly where those focus points would be if you're looking to use that as sort of direction for planning or future work. If I scroll down now, I can then see all the pupils in my class, and I would be able to scroll through all those subsections as well. Now, what we say with homework is that unlike sort of the old-fashioned paper-based, which is a one-time only opportunity for the pupils, Seneca is phenomenal because we capture each data point. So we would always recommend that the advice to pupils is to keep going with the assignment. So keep going into it to ensure they're getting as good a grade as possible at the end. Because what that means for you as class teacher is you can track the number of attempts that pupil has made across the work. So we can see here, if we look at Cristobal at the top here, made 7 average attempts across each of those 14 units. And what that means is we can look at what was the first attempt and the total score average. So Cristobal started that session with a 40% average. But interestingly, when we then finished that, the best score was able to increase to an average of 78%. Excuse me, just one moment. An average of 78%. So this is really good at identifying that pupil progress on a unit by unit basis, because I can then output this information into a CSV file. I'm just going to open that, and I'm going to just change the screen that I'm looking at for you. So I'm just going to do that. And here is the data output. So we can see here that these are my pupils, that year 11 group. And don't worry, this is entirely fictitious data. This is not a live class. So I can see what the average learning time was, average scores, and then for each of those units, I can see the average score. And so it really gives you that sense of understanding as to where the pupils started with their homework, where they ended, and where they will have struggled, potentially showing misconceptions or gaps in their understanding. So let's just go back into the Seneca application. So let's just at that juncture take a moment to have a look at the questions. So it's a really good question here, Andrea. How does Teams know which students? I'm afraid I'm not well versed with the structure of Teams. I've always used it in a static manner. My understanding is that there would be that interplay and connection. So you as the class teacher would have individual or potentially have individual classes structured within your Teams account. And that would then, once you've logged in, it would tell you which class to assign that piece of homework to. But I'm sure that there will be either those within your establishment who will be well versed with cross-sharing of technologies, or indeed at a later point after this call, we can have a look at that in more detail, you and I offline. How do you set up a class? Selena, thank you for that. Let me just, if anyone missed it at the beginning, just quickly go back, because it's incredibly quick and easy. So Selena, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my classes homepage, and I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to call this Selena's class. So there we go. I've created a class of Selena's class. I then go to courses, and I find my course material. I'm just, because we've gone through this, I'm just going to take this one here and add it. I'm going to add my course. I'm going to add an assignment. Again, just running through. So choose this. This is biology week 1. Now, what's interesting here, you'll notice, is that I can actually choose multiple classes. So if you've got yourself assigned with multiple groups, you can actually create assignment that can be distributed to across a department, across a year group, and you can do that in a manner that's either on the same date, or you can use different dates. So it might be that I'm teaching Selena's class today, and so that's going out today, but I'm not going to be teaching that year 11 class until Monday. So I'm going to change the dates for that class, and I'm going to create. There we go. And I've now got 2 links, and I can send those out. So I'm just going to come back through, and we're just going to come to here. And so students, you can either invite students into the classroom at the point of sharing that homework. So I'm not sure if anyone has clicked on the link that I put in the comments, but you will have had a pop-up that celebrates you being included within the class that I created. Alternatively, another neat way of doing it is via this code. So I can click on the link here, and I would have a printable version of these QR codes that you can present to your pupils in class, so they can take those away, use their smartphone or their tablet, and that will give them direct access to the class, and therefore be able to see that assignment that you have created for that class. Okay, I'm just going to now jump across. We're going to come back and look at some more of the functionality for a teacher from a premium perspective in a moment. But I'm just going to show you what does it look like as a pupil. So if we jump into our Pupil platform. Right, so that page is now loaded, and you can see one of the decisions made sort of at the very beginning of Seneca was that it should be an autonomous learning platform. It's not just about schools dictating what pupils should learn. It's giving pupils that capability, that autonomy to develop their own understanding of the world, their own learning in line with their own requirements, whether that's pursuing individual qualifications throughout those key stages, or whether it's just an interest. So it might be learning a language. They have full reign of access to all of our course materials. So we can do a Spanish course. So I'm just going to search for Spanish as a pupil, and I'm going to take this GCSE, and I can go straight through, and I've got that AQA GCSE course here. And so I would be able to start working through that module. So when you log in as a pupil, you would see that navigation tile in front of you. That's your active and recent courses. But fundamentally, one of the most important tiles is this one here. This is your next assignment due, and this is prioritized by the very next date and time. So it might be, as a pupil, I've got multiple assignments due on the 10th, but this is the most urgent. But if I click over here, I can then see all upcoming assignments where all of these are laid out for me. And you can see as well that some of these I've already done some work on. So I've got here, this test assignment has been completed. I've got all 3 units. Apologies, rather trigger happy there. So I've got all 3 units completed. So that one's ready. I don't necessarily need to worry about that unless I wanted to come in and boost the score. Here I've already made a start on this smart homework, this biology homework here. If I open it up, I can see I've done the test. I've done the end of topic test, but I would need to come back through and complete these elements. So it's incredibly visual, incredibly intuitive, both as a learner and a teacher, as to what is left outstanding for me. Now, in the center of this page, this is where we add the gamification, the element of competition and fun beyond the learning for the pupils. And this resonates particularly with those who are potentially less engaged learners, more reluctant learners, because what we're looking to do here is really ensure that there is that continuous engagement and enthusiasm for coming back to repeat assignments, repeat logins, to continue finding more material and pursuing a personalized learning journey. So if we look at this, so we have this concept here of the memory palace. So again, it's that concept of storing memories within a sort of a virtual mental environment. And what we've taken is the map of the world. And each time you complete a piece of coursework, you are given the choice of where in the world do you want to save that piece of work. So we can see here that this pupil has saved work on the minerals to Davos in Switzerland. a unit on the Battle of Hastings has been set to some rather exotic islands in Indonesia. So you can see then I can use those to go back to those individual bits of learning. So having not fared particularly well on this Norman conquest of England, I can come back to this one just by clicking that single tile. So I'm just going to come back out. And what you will also see is that each piece of work that you complete, each assignment or piece of coursework, you are automatically included in a global leaderboard. And this isn't global in terms of the school global, lowercase g. No, this is a capital G global. So you might find that you are in, let's have a look, I'm in Leafy, Hampshire at the moment. So there are secondary pupils here who could be competing for GCSE higher grades against those at an international school in Nairobi. They could be studying in Latin America. And so it gives that sense of a community. It gives that sense of competition. I can invite my friends here. I will never use my own name on the front here on a public session like this. It's always through an auto-generated nickname, so that there's no opportunity for personal details to be shared or communication to take place within Seneca. It's just a dashboard and a leaderboard that we control, but it gives that interface and that sense of competition for pupils. And there are these key statistics that we maintain. So as a learner, you can see exactly what your total knowledge score is, how many questions you've answered, and what your total learning time is. So, and listen, I really do appreciate that this is probably a very quick rattle through of everything for you. Do please keep coming back to the comments, ask any questions that you have. I will be sharing my email address with you all at the end. So if there's anything that you would like to discuss offline, you can come back to me. So I'm going to drop back to the Teach platform, and in a moment, we're just going to look at what's the difference then, because you've heard me mention Seneca, which is and always will remain a free platform for learners and for schools, but we do have a premium package. And what does that look like? What is the difference? But as I do that, I'm just going to have a look through. I know we've had some engagement across our comment boards there, so let's have a look at those questions. So you can just push to your Teams already established on Teams. That is my understanding, that by clicking on the Teams link, you are absolutely sharing that content with a pre-populated structure of classroom that you will have already invited learners to. So another question here, can I be included in the setup with Teams? Other departments in my school would be interested. Absolutely. I think this is going to be more pertinent to a question offline. So I'm going to share my email address. So please do get in touch with me, because I think I'd need to really sort of have that conversation with you to understand, because I'm not actually including anyone with a setup on Teams right now. That's not the function of it. So I'm not sure whether I'm understanding the question correctly. We use Teams as a single sign-on. If you use Teams to share distance or home learning or homework, it might be that you use Google Classroom, or you might just email the assignments to your staff. So when I've shared that email address, send me more details, and I'm more than happy to jump on a personalized webinar for you and your wider school community. I'm not sure what's wrong with my throat this afternoon. Do apologize. Okay, with our moments left, I'm just going to quickly open up this one here. So progress, we have a range of reporting, so I can look at selected classes. So I'm going to open this up from the last 7 days. And so you'll see it's generating the report. It's pulling all the data for that class from the last 7 days down. And here I've got one that I started yesterday or earlier on in the week. So if I click on this, right, bear with me. Let's just get that downloaded again. Here we are. So you can see what this report shows you. We've got three tabs here. So we've got biology, so we can see exactly across this class what is the homework that has been assigned. So I can see that biology, French, science, and modern foreign languages again have been assigned, active students, and the total study time. I can see who my students were, these demo students, the most recent activity, the number of sessions, and scores across each of those subjects. And then I can see this would be me as the teacher and my classes, number of students, and sessions completed. So what we do from a free school perspective, absolutely, we give you that granular insight on and progress reports at assignment level. So you can really see across which assignments and topics your pupils are making progress in, or where maybe progress isn't being made as swiftly as you would like. And then we've got a slightly more static view that gives you that insight into the use case or the use and prevalence of logins to Seneca and the responses. I'm just going to quickly show you a report if you were a premium school, because what we do is we can connect with your school's MIS, so whether you're SIMS or ARBA, and this starts really driving value to reporting points. So I can see here I've got my SLT snapshot, I've got all my subjects, total assignments that have been submitted, what's the completion rate, so I can get an idea on the homework policy. I can see average scores for sessions studied and total learning hours. So I've got a nice top holistic view of the school and what the use of Seneca is. This, though, I just think is crucial. And this is where, using that MIS connection, we can see your target group. So if you're going into a pupil premium progress meeting, you can have a look at your pupil progress, your PP, your pupil premium children or your cohort, and see exactly what is the state of their progress. What are their studying habits? How many sessions? What are their average scores? You can also cut that boys and girls. So what does that look like in terms of total effort? And then crucially, I can drop down a further level and I can look at that by all children. And this is where it then gets really powerful, because I can filter it by the individual year groups. So I want to see all my pupil premium boys in year 7, and then move that view up through 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. And this will show you how many assignments have been set, what's the completion rate, those scores, and time spent studying. So it gives you a really, really in-depth view at points in time to track that pupil progress across a range of different cohorts. What else does Premium provide you? Well, you might have noticed as we looked into the content, there's about 125, 130% more content for a premium school. And so if you click on this link, and again, it's something you can do in your own time, we've got revision categories of content. We've got predicted papers, and these are papers that are created by those examining bodies or those lead examiners and subject leaders and specialists to give your pupils a feel for what it is that they will be needing to go through at the end of their academic year. We've looked at the custom progress reports. We've got those additional courses and smart learning. Now, this is where the Seneca algorithm takes into play an understanding all the assignments that have been assigned and all the learning to an individual pupil, and it will give them a personalized and differentiated workflow that will see them get the very most out of the platform and make the most progress. Wrong answers mode is lovely, because when you've finished a piece of coursework, you can come back to it and only focus on specifically what you got wrong. So as we saw, when you've completed homework, you can go back, you can boost your score. Well, this way I'm going to boost only where I went wrong. I'm not going to go back over the activity again to go through the whole raft of questioning. I can go through and only do where I went wrong. So I thank you so much for taking your time to join me this afternoon. I'm going to share my email address now. So it's ben@seneca.io. So please, if there's anything I've talked about that you'd like to know more about, whether that's functionally, how do I create classes, how do I find different parts of coursework, or whether you would like to look at the reporting, whether you'd like to look at it from a student platform, or indeed, if you're interested in understanding what it means to be a premium school, do please get in touch. In the meantime, I'd love to see you turn those laptops off and have a wonderful weekend. You all deserve it after a very busy week back at school. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon, and I look forward to hearing from you. Please take care. All the very best. Bye.